My name is Himanshu Saravgi, and in today's video we will cover the different table functions under Custom Func.dll. Well, these are the functions that you might require to handle HTML tables in an application. So let me open up Test Studio. Okay. So here I have already recorded a project and I open this test where we'll work on w3schools.com sample HTML table. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and show you how this HTML page looks like. I'll run it. Okay. Okay, so this is the demo application that we'll be working on, and this is the table over there, the HTML table example. Well, to use it HTML table in Telerik, first we need to record it as an element. So how do we do that? We'll just use the element highlighter and select any sub element from the table. It could be any random cell. So here I select the Smith cell and locate that in DOM. I'll just expand the DOM for your ease of understanding. Okay, so as we know that in the DOM a table is represented as TRs and TDs. TRs are the different rows, and under a row there are different columns that are TDs. So here we have selected a random TD and we go above and see the table it's associated with. So just select the table by left clicking on it and then right click, select add to project elements, and then just give any random name that you want, or let it be the default name, like here it's table. I'll add the element. I'll just go ahead and show you how the element looks like in the Telerik Test Studio. Okay, let me just toggle the elements to show only for this test. Okay, so this is the table HTML element that we have added over here, and now we'll use it in the test. Okay, for using this table in the test we need to have a custom coded step, that is a script step over here. One of the basic functionalities that you expect to do from an HTML table is to look for some text in the table. So if the text is available, then I want some reply. If the text is not in the table, then I want it to behave differently. So for that we have a very simple function, that is find text in table. What this function does, it returns a true if the required text is in the table, and it returns a boolean false if that text is not in the table. Okay. Other than that, we'll be using a very direct function message box. Okay, let me just type that function again for you. So I type func. Okay, that is the basic class for any of the functions that we use in Custom Func.dll, and after func I just put up a dot and select my function, that is find text in table from this list. So find text in table. So the arguments that I take is, the first argument is the HTML table that we have recorded. Okay, to use that recorded element, what we do, we just go ahead and type pages. So I'll just go ahead and type pages dot the page name, which in this case is HTML tables. Over here we can see. So I'll just go ahead and select HTML tables dot the HTML table element that we require. So that is table. So this is the element that we are passing into this function as an argument, and the other argument is the text in the form of string that we are looking for in the table. Like in this case I'll look for John. So if the table would be having the text John in it, it will reply back with a true. It will return me a value, a boolean true, which I'm over here, which I'll be capturing in a boolean value a. So I have a variable a which is of the type boolean, and in that I capture the return type of this function. So if John is in the table, it returns me true. If John is not in the table, it returns me false. So the other function that we'll be using in this is the message box function. Well, the message box function you would not be using in your main test. It's just a function for debugging, where you can display any text, any string message on screen as a message box, and your test remains paused till you click on OK. So you can display any text, any variables value in form of string, or you can just convert the variable value into string and just display it into message box, but you have to pass a string as the argument to this message box function. So you can just go ahead and create a message box for hello. Here what I am doing, I am converting the return boolean value a into string and passing that as an argument to the message box. Okay, let me go ahead and run this function. So if value John is available, it will return me a true and display it on a message box. Okay, so the test has been executed and I have a message box over here which says true. That means it was able to find John in this table. Now let's take a scenario in which the text is not in the table. Say we use Johnny in place of John. So execute the test, and this time I expect Telerik to return me a false. Okay, and here I have a message box which says false. Okay, so Johnny is not in the table. I press on OK and my test closes. Well, actually it did not fail because we have not yet coded the failure condition. So using this true or false, we can code if the test is supposed to fail or the text is supposed to pass. So presently it just displayed me the values of true and false. The other requirement that we might have is, suppose there's an element in the table which is a hyperlink. So I want to click on that hyperlink. Okay, I'll just open the application. Suppose Jackson or Doe was a hyperlink, and what I want, that I have the first name of a person like Jill or Eve or John, and I want to click on his last name, which opens up a different URL which is a hyperlink in itself, but I don't know in which row John is in. So what I can do, I search for John, and when I get John, for that row I want to click on the last name column. So that is my requirement. So I'll just close it and show you the function, how it works. So the function is click from table by text. Okay, I'll just write it down for you. That is click from table by text. The argument that it takes is the HTML table that we used previously, that is pages.html tables table. So that is my HTML table. The other argument is the text we are looking for. Like in the scenario I mentioned, we are looking for the first name, so I'll give the first name as John. So if it finds John, it locks that row, and then I have to give it the column on which it has to click for that row. So I have the row which has John, and I want to click on the last name. The last name is in the column 1. The first name is column 0, then column 1, then column 2. So I want to click on last name. Okay, another thing that this function does is that it also has a return type of boolean. So if it was able to find the element and successfully click on it, so it will return me a true, and if it was not able to find the element, it returns me a false. So I can also use the value, the return value, and display it in a message box. So that's what I'm doing over here. So I'll just use these lines as it is. Just convert the column number, and I'm displaying the value of a in a message box. Well, for now we won't be able to see where it actually clicked. We'll just see that the mouse moved over there because it's not a hyperlink. Okay, now I won't move the mouse by myself. Okay, so it found John and it clicked on Doe. You can see that the mouse directly came to Doe. That was not a movement that I made. So it just came over there and clicked on Doe. If it would have been an hyperlink, it would have moved there and it returned me a true in this message box because John was found and the click was done. So just select OK and my test completes. Okay, so this function, the click from table by text function, has an override function to it. I'll just show you. Okay, so where the override, this. Okay, so what this function has in addition is you might not always want to do a left click. So if you want to do a double click, single click, or a right click, you just have to pass an additional argument as click as string. And also if the table is long and you have to scroll down to that element before clicking on it, so you just give a boolean true in place of the argument where we can see boolean scroll. So that will be the override to the function that we just saw. Okay. Well, rest of the functionality remains the same, so we just have 2 additional arguments to it. Another requirement that we might have, that given the first name John, I want to fetch back the last name or maybe any other information in that row. So for that kind of a function feature, we have a function that is get data from table by text. So what this function takes is we give it the HTML table, that is pages.html tables.table. And then it takes in the string which we will search for, like we'll search for John, and then it takes the column from which we want to get the value back from. Like in our case, the column is column number 1, which has the last names for the different users. So I'll just take it, and the return type is of type string. So I'm directly capturing the value in a string data, and I'll display that in a message box. Okay, so let me go ahead and run this for John. So I run it, and what I'm expecting in the message box is the last name of John, which is Doe. So, and in the message box we have Doe. Now let's try the same function for Eve without changing anything else. We are not changing the object position or anything, we are not selecting a row or column, but it automatically gives me the last name for Eve. Okay, clicked on it and it returns me Jackson. So that is how this get data from table function works. I suppose that should be all for the day, and thanks a lot for tuning in. Thank you.